what's up, man? I'm telling you, I just remembered the looper can overdub, and now it's like, it's all I want to do. It's all I want to do. Talking about all I want to do, I knew an all I want to do in college. Hell of a guy. He was from, I don't know, Zimbabwe or something. All I want to do. Hell of a rugby player. Okay, today we're going to talk about Marshall. Marshall showed up to NAMM. And you know, I thought they had a great NAMM. I really did. And I think their products that they released at NAMM were the best of NAMM and the worst of NAMM. Can I just say that? The best of NAMM and the worst of NAMM. I think that the new modified series amplifiers, of course, by the way, they released some new 20-watt heads. Very cool, Marshall. I think those are cool amps. I think the Marshall sound in those lower watt versions, they're a little more affordable. Those are really hitting with a lot of people, and I think that's great. That's great. That line is not terribly innovative. It's something to me like, you know, what's another like great amp? Like a Hot Rod Deluxe. It's something like a deluxe reverb reissue. It's like what it is done very well. It's popular with people for a certain reason. It's a great product. Nothing against it. So they continued that line. Okay, really nice, great. So what did Marshall do really well? They released this new modified series that really impressed me. You know, whole companies have come about. Whole, you know, brands, names, Jose, have been created around modding Marshalls. And, you know, Lee Jackson, the name one. And so this modded Marshall thing is obviously, Soldano, it is obviously something that, you know, is very common out there. And so it's about time Marshall got on the bandwagon and said, we can modify our own amps ourselves. So they released two amps, the JCM800 and the Plexi. And I think they're great. I tried them. I listened to them. I mostly listened to somebody else play them because, you know, the Marshall booth was loud and stuff. But it was great. They were great. I think there's a ton of options. And I think it takes a classic amp and adds some, I don't even want to say modern touches, but just it adds some more versatility to the original design, while I think still maintaining a very classic amp feel and design and look. I would not say these are modern Marshalls by any means. I would not say they're modern. They're not. They're the classic designs with a couple like modifications, which I think makes them way cooler. The thing that really perplexed me about Marshall, and what I think Marshall must do, is overdrive pedals of the DSL, of the 800, of the Plexi. Who's asking for this? It seems like such just like a low like interest thing from the market. How many pedals are Marshall in a box pedals? They've been around for years, and new pedals that come out, there isn't like a trend towards Marshall in a box, you know, tones like, or like, oh, the new cutting edge thing is like this Marshall in a box. We've had the My Audio Crunch Box, the MI Audio Crunch Box. We've had the Charlie Brown. We've had the Angry Charlie. We've had, I had a Alexander Effects Silver Jubilee pedal. That's great. Marshall came out, they re-released their Blues Breaker, their Governor. Those things were all, I thought, awesome. I don't get these. It seems like these are going to go the way of these Fender pedals, the Marine Reverb and stuff. I'm looking at these two companies, Fender and Marshall, and I'm going, guys, Fender, how do you not have a pedal that looks like a brown panel amp that has a wonderful, beautiful harmonic tremolo? Those brown face amps are known for that. You and Magnavox basically invented that effect in the eyes of guitar players. Why? And people sell those. Why aren't you getting on? Why don't you make that pedal? Why give us some brushed aluminum Marine Reverb? Now, I know the Marine Reverb might actually be a cool pedal. My point is, it doesn't look like pedals that people make. It doesn't fit with other things. They're too large for a pedal board. Like, it seems like they're like these companies are kind of so interested in doing their own thing. I wonder if they're not asking themselves what players want. And or if they're just trying to hit like price points or stuff at guitar centers, and maybe that's their business today. Maybe a kid goes in there, and maybe this is what Marshall thinks. Maybe a kid goes in and says, hey, if they're going to buy a pedal, they're going to buy one that says Marshall because they can't afford the MG amps, or they can't afford the big Plexi, so they're going to buy a pedal that says Marshall. I get that. I just also think of how many of those kids are actually learning guitar, on a Sunday morning in a silent stage. How many of those people are being forced, like they're wearing headphones at home because their parents don't want to hear them all the time, and they're doing a lot of that they're plugging in headphones to an amp and stuff, and they could plug into that Marshall pedal and get a DSL or Plexi or the choice of any of them with a Marshall modeling pedal. Like, I want the Marshall Tonemaster series. Guys, you have to do this. I can't believe the amp companies are like, I know all these amp companies were like really like, I remember when it was like Kemper is ripping off our stuff and like modeling and, support amp builders. We're watching UA like run away with that segment of the market of like amp in a box digital emulation of a food group of amps or type of amps. And I look at a company like Marshall and I just go, man, you guys, you can't win a round if you don't get in the ring. And if you concede every round, the fight's over. You know what I mean? Like, you're such a ubiquitous part of guitar tone that you have the final authority, because everyone at the end of the day respects that black box with the white script logo. Just give me something awesome, man. Like, Fender figured it out. Fender's doing the Tonemaster amps. Now, I think the Tonemaster amp is cool if you're an amp guy who, doesn't want to deal with maintenance and wants to take it on the road. I think that's cool. I actually think that's a much smaller use case than, the Tonemaster Pro and what could be these Tonemaster pedals that I think Fender should release. But Marshall has got to get in the game here. They've got to get in the game. I just don't understand. And there's so many Marshall people who I think would go for it. I'm really surprised they are not putting out. I think if Marshall put out this, I think if Marshall said, here's our modeling pedal, and you can go direct to the board, but there's another out that goes to our new, do what Valve Train. Do what Valve Train did. Marshall should release a tube-powered power amp with a Celestion speaker inside and say, here's now the direct solution for silent stage, but when you want to rock, no compromise. Get that tube warmth on the stage while the sound guy gets the perfect, balanced, perfected, polished, EQ'd Marshall album-like tone. But on stage, put it into that very flat tube power amp. Now, people are going to go, HW, that's going to color the sound. That's going to color the sound. Valve Train did it, and I use it, and it sounds good. Michael Britt, who's a big Kemper guy, obviously, he did it, and he started playing on stage. Michael Britt has played all over this country with Lone Star for the past how many years using that Valve Train, and he just says one thing. Yeah, I could use the Kemper, and it sounds perfect up there, but on stage, I just want some loudness. My tone doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I know what it sounds like out there. I want to just on stage feel that your tone changes as you move around the stage. So it's like it doesn't need to be 100% perfect on the stage. You just want that power. You just want that. You don't need a completely flat solution for even an FR on stage. You just want that power. So, hey, another video I'll probably do. Do we even need FR speakers? This is another one that is an interesting topic. But Marshall has got to get in the game, in my opinion. I just think, and it's not even like I'm like, guys, what are you doing? I just think for them, they're leaving money on the table. And I think they'd be so successful. And I think you could do an entire line where you say, you can do an all-in-one or you can do the individuals. You could do little individual pedals at 200, 250, something like that, and a big pedal at 400, 450. You could do, you saw Friedman has the tube thing with the IR, a little Class D power amp in the IR. emulation. They now are doing that for the Tone King Imperial. Marshall could do that. Victory did it. Marshall could do it. Maybe that's what they're getting ready to do. I think it would be awesome. I think it would be so cool. And Marshall, you got to do it. You got to please do it. Now I'm going to play something very un-Marshall-y.